Mike Woodson and the Indiana Hoosiers are after another big target in the 2025 class.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. It is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen each and every day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as the playoffs are over. The sports have stopped sporting like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Well, thank you so much for making Locked On Hoosiers your first listen, your first watch each and every day. A reminder that this show is free every day, whether you're on audio or you're on video. This is a free Indiana Hoosiers show. So thank you so much for making this your first listen each and every day. Well, we have talked so much about so many different guys in the 2025 high school basketball recruiting class that the Indiana Hoosiers are very much in for. Braylon Mullins, right? We've talked a lot about him. Trent Sisley's, those types of guys that we feel really, really good about. But the Hoosiers keep working. They keep grinding, and Mike Woodson and this staff are putting in more work than I've seen a staff put in a long, long time. And there's been a couple of guys that we sort of wrote off a little bit, not because the Indiana Hoosiers didn't want them. It's just we didn't think we were going to get them. We thought it maybe was kind of fizzling out. And I had given up on a couple of these guys. But the one that I am intrigued by today that we get some more information on and just got some more information on is Mikel Brown Jr., okay, a five-star in the 2025 class. He's 6'3", 165 pounds, the Daytona, Florida native. No matter where you look, he's a top 15 player in the country, one of the best point guards in the country. And the fact that Indiana has worked their way kind of back into this, I don't think we were ever fully out of it, but I don't think we were anywhere near the lead. And I think we're starting to make up some ground here. And we're working right now, Indiana is, to get this guy on campus, trying to get him back and get him here and just let him see what it's all about, right? Let him see the campus, let him see the facilities, see all the coaches, see the players, just come for an official visit, right? That's what Indiana is trying to do right now. I mean, he holds offers from everywhere. Some of the big name schools, Arizona, Louisville, Alabama. You've got Ole Miss is in there, UCF, Arizona State. Like, the guy's got a lot of intriguing offers, a little bit different than some of the other big Braylon Mullins of the world who have, UConn, who just had him on a visit, by the way, and the Kansases and Dukes of the world. But Mikel Brown Jr. is a really, really good player. He's a really good shooter. He's a facilitator and just a floor master. The guy is an elite point guard in the 2025 class. And I know what a lot of you are going to say, okay, if we're going after him, is that going to affect what happens with a Braylon Mullins or a Trent Sisley or some of the other guards that Indiana's going after? I guess technically it could, right? It could, but you've got to remember that when you're talking Mullins and Sisley, you are talking about, and even Bryson Tiller too, you're talking about shooting guards and small forwards. You're not talking a whole lot of pure point guards here. There's some that the Hoosiers have been in on, sure. But I think with Mikel Brown, you have the luxury and the ability to say, look, you could be our guy. You could be our point guard in the 2025 class. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? Doesn't mean that he's going to decide, oh, yeah, let's go to Indiana because they don't have anybody. No, that's not the case. But you see where I'm going here. And you've got to remember the guards that are on the roster right now with, of course, with what we brought in, Miles Rice, Cannon Carlisle, yada, yada. But you go after somebody like Mikel Brown, who's another five-star that the Hoosiers are after. let me say this. There's no official visit set. Okay. There's nothing set as of right now. There's just some rumblings that it's in the works, and the Hoosiers feel pretty good that they're going to make it happen. If you do make that happen, here's who you have coming on campus. All right. I want you to listen to this, starting from the top and working our way down. All right. Starting right now in August. At the end of this month, because you have this dead period coming up from August 6th through, I want to say the 20th, I think, where you can't have kids on campus, and you cannot go and see kids. You can still text them, you can still call them, you do whatever you want to do. You just can't go see them, and they can't come see you, okay? So starting at the end of this month, you have Jalen Harrelson coming on the 31st, Braylon Mullins on September 20th, Malachi Marino, Trent Sisley, right? The teammates from the Indiana AAU team will all be here on September 20th. And then you are working to get a couple of other guys, one of those, of course, being Mikel Brown Jr. And that's a really good official visit list. That's a really, really good visit list. And we're going to talk about Hoosier Hysteria coming up in the next segment. And I know there's been some questions already that I've seen on social media about, well, is that going to be a big recruiting weekend for basketball? It is homecoming for football. Again, we're going to get to that in a second, but it might be. I don't know. I'm not sure how they're going to do the recruiting side with Hoosier Hysteria. But in terms of Mikel Brown, maybe that's when you can get him on. I don't know. You got to figure out his schedule and see if he truly wants to come and take a visit. But I think the Hoosiers are in a good spot, and I think they have dug themselves out. Again, not out of a hole, but they've sort of been reborn, Undertaker-like, where they come out of the coffin and they remind everybody that we're here. That's what this feels like to me. It was never truly over, but it was not, didn't have any heat to it, didn't have any steam, didn't have any momentum. And all of a sudden, the Hoosiers have cranked it back up, and they're back out on Mikel Brown Jr. They're trying to get him on a visit. I feel good about it. And look, we say this all the time about Indiana. If we get them on campus, we feel good about our chances. That's what we're trying to do right now with the 5-star point guard from Florida, Mikel Brown Jr. Well, coming up on Locked On Hoosiers, I mentioned Hoosier Hysteria because it's back. Yes, they made the announcement just a couple of days ago. We will talk about that, what it's going to be, and how it's going to look a little bit different this year for Indiana men and women's basketball. We'll talk about that coming up next on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back to Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you again so much for making this your first listen each and every day. If you're looking for a way to help out the show, it's free and it's simple. Just subscribe to us on YouTube and like this video if that's where you are right now. The show is free, and so that's an easy way to help support us, okay? Like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're on audio, you could do the same sort of things. Follow us on there, turn on notifications, whatever you got to do. That way you never miss an episode of Locked On Hoosiers. And when you're done here, if you're looking for your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On College Basketball with Andy and Isaac. We've had them on periodically. We'll continue to have them on periodically throughout basketball season. They do an amazing job covering all the biggest storylines in college basketball. If you're looking for your third listen today, we have a Locked On College Football show as well at the Locked On Podcast Network. As we get closer to that season, we're in college football's month of August. So go check out that as well with my guy Spencer McLaughlin at Locked On College Football. Well, Hoosier Hysteria is back. Indiana announced it that it is coming back as another year for Indiana basketball. And look, it is an event that happens every year. It's happened forever. And it's just a lot of fun. Hoosier Hysteria. Everybody comes together in that month of October, right there before the season starts. A few weeks, not really a month, a few weeks before the season starts. And everybody packs into Assembly Hall. And Woodson, the head coach usually speaks a little bit. And there's always been contests, right? Your 3-point contests and different things like that. Well, here's what's exciting about this year's Hoosier Hysteria, and I'm sure you've seen this. We got scrimmages back. Yes, the basketball teams, girls and boys, men's and women's, will be scrimmaging they'll have scrimmages in Hoosier Hysteria. Now, it's the fact that both programs will have 2-quarter scrimmages, and it's my understanding that it's going to be the men versus men and then the women versus women. I don't think we're going to have, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've read it and the wording is kind of weird here. But you're going to have legitimate basketball being played at Hoosier Hysteria. As I mentioned before, this in the past, it's been, 3-point contests and things like that. And we've had to try and break it down on who performed the best in a 3-point contest inside Hoosier Hysteria. Well, that doesn't mean a whole lot. This is legit basketball where we're going to get our first real look outside of practice at what this team and what these teams are going to look like. Because I think the Indiana women are going to be good this year too. And then you have the exhibition that comes up in a few weeks on November 1st, and then the opener on that first week of November. And for Hoosier Hysteria, it's going to be Friday, October 18th inside of Assembly Hall. Still free to attend. They want you to bring a canned food, as you have been for a lot of years, right? They want you to bring that canned food to be a part of your entry, but it is free to go. The women will go first. They'll kind of be, introduced. They'll have some words. The women's team will play their scrimmage, and then the men will do it. Okay, so that is right. The women will play against each other, and then the men will go later on that night. And look, it's a fun event. It is. It's a really, really neat thing. In the past, it's been tough because people like me and people like you want to dissect it and break it down and get all the information out of it that we can. And it's been hard to do that because there hasn't been a whole lot of real legitimate action happening. And sometimes you just got to take it for what it is and just enjoy the event. This year, though, you best believe that right here on Locked On Hoosiers, we are going to be dissecting and breaking it all down in that scrimmage for the men and the women, because I think it's important, and we're going to find out what this team looks like. Now, what squads are going to run against each other, which lineups, and how serious will they take it? I don't know. It's a scrimmage. We're not trying to get anybody hurt, okay? We're not trying to show all of our best plays, and you know what I'm saying here. But I do want to see this team in action, because as we get closer, the buildup for this basketball season, I think, is going to be something really, really special. And we're going to talk about that same thing with football in the next segment too. But with basketball, I've told you, man, this roster is really, really good. It's really competitive, and it should be an expectation from you, the fan, for this year for Indiana basketball to be successful. A, to be better than it was a year ago, but B, to actually be competitive in the Big Ten and make a run in the NCAA tournament, because I believe this roster is that good, and we're going to get our first chance to see that with the Hoosier Hysteria event, followed by a scrimmage that'll come up in a couple of weeks after that. So Hoosier Hysteria on the 18th, and then you'll have the opening game, not the season opener, but my mind just went blank there. Your opening game, your exhibition game. There it is. Jeez. Exhibition game on November 1st. So you'll have a couple of weeks, and that's good for Mike Woodson. Think about it this way. You have your scrimmage, you get out there, you let them run, you let them play, you let them get excited with the fans, and everybody gets to see them. But it's not going to be perfect, especially in the eyes of a head coach and a coaching staff. They're going to have a million things that they want to work on and fix that they're worried about before the season opener. Well, good news for them. You're going to get 2 weeks before you have your exhibition game, then another 5 days, 6 days, something like that, until your actual season opener. And the good news about the season opener is it's not that difficult, and neither's a second game. And then you get into your South Carolina game, and then you got a couple more, and we've had conversations about the non-conference schedule. So even if Hoosier Hysteria, the scrimmage doesn't look great, okay, Mike Woodson and this staff are not going to be happy because that's how coaches work. And there's probably going to be something that we get overly excited about as fans and something that we get overly worried about as fans, because that's what we do. That's how we roll. Somebody will throw down a ridiculous dunk that we're just going to lose our absolute minds about. Somebody's going to shoot lights out from three, or somebody's going to be horrific from downtown, or we're going to have just sloppy play and a bunch of turnovers, or missing alley-oops, or can't make layups, or the offense stalls out. Something like that is going to happen. I guarantee it. I guarantee it's going to happen. Both of those things will happen. Something really good that we'll overreact to, and something bad that we will also overreact to. But let me say it right now. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's a scrimmage against each other in October. And you remember how I talk when these teams, football, basketball, doesn't matter, when they have constantly been playing against one another for months and months and months. That's what you're going to see in Hoosier Hysteria, because it's a scrimmage against each other. They've been doing that for months at that point. And you're not going to see them. They'll be excited to be in Assembly Hall, and they'll be excited with the fans, but that extra energy of playing against somebody different, that's probably not going to be there. And that's okay. That's fine. That's what the exhibition's for. That's what the season opener's for. And that's what the whole season's about. So again, if it doesn't look just spectacular, don't flip out. Don't worry. It's okay. Indiana will be just fine. I'm excited for the event, though. I'm glad that it's still the women and the men that'll be a part of this thing. October 18th, okay? They are still making some announcements. They're going to have some NIL stuff that happens with this too, which is really, really neat. Possibly some photo opportunities, some autograph signings, things like that. Something that, we haven't seen a whole lot of in college athletics with this type of thing. And there's going to have some NIL ties to it, I think. But Indiana has not said anything about that kind of in detail just yet. So keep that in mind, and we'll kind of keep you updated here on Locked On Hoosiers as well, because they're going to do something. We just don't know exactly what that's going to be. But on October 18th, Hoosier Hysteria is back, and you'll have scrimmages. The women will scrimmage against each other, and then the men will scrimmage against each other, and it's all going to take place inside of Assembly Hall on October 18th. Well, coming up in our final segment on Locked On Hoosiers, the buzz continues to build around Indiana football as we're in the month of college football. What have we heard? What have we seen so far from fall practice? We'll have that coming up for you next on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports, and I love them so much that I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs are over and the summer is here, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sporting like we want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime that I'm in the mood. The Olympics, I've been on. How about baseball? Has anybody jumped on the White Sox 20-game losing streak? Sorry if any Chicago White Sox fans just caught a random stray right there. Chicago's on a 20-game losing streak. If you rolled that over, you'd be up like $100,000 if you started with $100. So why not get on FanDuel? You may as well jump on it and see how long the ride could go. They're pushing history there in Chicago, and you can be a part of that with FanDuel. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Final segment here on the show. Thank you so much again for being here. Shout out to all of my everydayers. You are the reason this show is so successful, and we continue to grow. And so thank you so much for doing that. If you haven't already, like our video, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. It's a free, easy way to support the show. And also on audio, follow us over there. Turn on notifications as well. Football practice is upon us. The fall is here. And while it may not feel like it outside just yet, Indiana plays football this month. College football begins this month. Can you scream it any louder from the rooftops? If that doesn't get you out of bed in the morning, then I don't know what will. And the buzz around this football program here in Bloomington, it's higher than it's been in a while. And I've been on this. My everydayers know this. I have been saying this for months now, since the spring, since the winter, that it was going to be this way. And here we are. Fans continue every day. It seems like you guys are buying into what Curt Cignetti and this program are selling. And why not, man? Why not get excited for what's to come and what could be? Because, look, could we be disappointed and it not work out? Sure. I mean, that's always a possibility. But I just don't think that's going to be the case. I don't feel that that's going to be what happens with Curt Cignetti in Bloomington. Is it going to be a championship this year? No, probably not. But I do think we win some games. And I still believe that we are going to beat somebody that we are not supposed to. I think it's going to happen. We're going to sneak up on somebody, and they're all going to be surprised, and everybody's going to be shocked. And I'm going to sit right here on this show at this desk, and I'm going to say, I told them so. Not telling you because you already know. But everybody else that hasn't been on our train just yet, we're going to tell them. And so far, things that I've heard out of fall practice, I think are going to support that. The fact that this team is playing fast. They're playing physical. They are learning how to play football, which is kind of crazy. And I mean that in a good way. They're learning how to play it the right way. They're learning how to not just go through the motions and just show up and practice and go home. Like, I'm hearing that they're doing the extra things and they're taking the extra step and going the extra mile. And yeah, Cignetti and the staff are having to demand that from some guys. And you know what? They expect that because not everybody has understood that. His guys from James Madison, yeah, they probably get his role and how he works. But some of the other guys, whether they were already Indiana players or high school guys or whatever the case may be, other transfers, right? They've got to learn how to do it here. And you've got to reteach them a lot of things. You have to teach them new discipline and how to work out properly and how to practice properly and how to actually get better through fall practice. And so I'm hearing a lot of that right now, which is okay. That is fine by me. I don't want to be hearing this in October when the season is halfway done and we're still having to learn how to practice. That's not what I want to see. But I think you're finding out right now just how bad this program was on the back end too. Not just in games on Saturdays, but I think just overall it wasn't where it needed to be. So Cignetti's having to put in a ton of work, but I'm hearing positive things from him, from coaches, from people that are there. Like, I think it's going the way he expects it to go, and it's going to work out in the end. It's going to be a process, man. It is. It's going to be a process. But I think it's going to work out for the best. And I believe, I've told you this, I believe in Curt Cignetti. I do. I believe in what he's trying to do because he's done it so many times. And here's the most important thing. I think Curt Cignetti believes in Curt Cignetti. Does that make sense? He understands and he knows what he wants to do, and he believes that it can work because he's seen it work everywhere else he's been. And that's a huge vote of confidence for him. And it should be a huge vote of confidence for you, the fan, and for the players that he's coaching. And from what I hear, that's the case. They are enjoying it. They are feeding off of his energy and this revitalized and refreshing mindset and coaching. And look, there's going to be some guys that get weeded out. Just be ready for that. There's going to be guys that can't handle it, don't want to do it, don't want to be here, and they'll be gone, and they'll leave, and they'll never come back, and we wish the best of luck to them. But Curt Cignetti is going to find the dudes that want to be here, that want to work for it, and want to make Indiana football better. And at the end of the day, that's going to happen. I've seen fans that are all over the place making predictions and starting to even get hyped up and talk trash on social media. I love it. Absolutely love it. Do that. Do that. Let's get hyped up about it. Let's get ready because the season starts this month and it's going to be a good season. It's going to be a fun season. That's what I feel. Even just early on in these first few days of fall camp, it's going to be a fun season. And if you haven't hopped on with us, and look, you're an Indiana fan, I know you support the football team. I'm saying buy in to this football team because fall practice is upon us. I'm hearing good things, and we're getting closer and closer day by day to the start of this football season. And it's a ride that you want to be on. I promise you that. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Again, thank you all so much for being here. My everydayers, you mean the world to me, so thank you so much. If you are not an everydayer, or if you are and have not done these things, help me out, okay? Like this video if you're on YouTube, and then subscribe to our channel. That's the free and easy way to support the channel. Since it's a free show, help me out, okay? It really does support me, and I really appreciate that. Audio listeners, do the same thing. Subscribe, follow, notifications, whatever you got to do, okay? However you need to do it to where you never miss a new episode of Locked On Hoosiers. If you're looking for your next watch, your next listen, go check out Locked On College Basketball and then Locked On College Football. That's 30 minutes back to back to back of fantastic content. There's no reason to not go check it out, okay? We will be back tomorrow. Have a great Monday, everybody, and stay safe, Hoosier fans. I'll talk to you later.